At the end of the day, Call of the Night Season 2 has been extremely enjoyable. And of course, Call of the Night is an anime. It's not real. But once you look and you actually think about all the things happening in this anime, such as Uncle's, checkered past and her self deletion, and how she feels like she's wasted her whole life away that was based on revenge. And it makes sense after pretty much seeing her entire family getting slaughtered by the very thing Nazuna represents, and that's vampires. And then if you look further, there's even more darker things going on. You can see here Koi and Nazuna just flying out into the fucking dark skies as if nothing really is wrong here, right? You think, oh yeah, this is perfectly fine. But when you think about it, Koi is only 14 years old within the anime, of course. The context of the anime, right? We just stick to the context. It's a fantasy. And like I said, if you really just use several of your brain cells and just watch the anime just to enjoy, there's nothing wrong here. But when you start unlocking your brain cells and you realize Koi is only 14 years old and Nazuna's a vampire, let's just get that out of the way, right? Vampires, some people believe in them, some people don't. That's fine. But Nazuna is like about 30 or 40-year-old vampire, literally kidnapping Koi, manipulating him, pretty much trying to turn him into a vampire himself, trying to show him, affection and all these things, to a child. At the end of the day, Koi is a child. Nazuna is an adult, pretty much just controlling him with her finger, with her manipulative skills. But at the same time, when you watch the anime, Nazuna is a good person. She's a decent, vampire, not person. She's not really a person. She's just vampire quasi thing. I don't know what the fuck to call her anymore. She's definitely not human though. So once you realize that, if you guys watched the movie Nosferatu, it's pretty much that, but rated G. It's like the relationship between Koi and Nazuna is just like rated G. Versus the reality of the situation is it would be another Nosferatu. Koi is Nazuna's affliction. As a vampire, Nazuna, she has memory loss. And she barely has any emotions other than like getting pissed off. Even within the scene, they were all like, shit, we almost ticked off Nazuna. And they had to apologize. Why? Because at the end of the day, Nazuna is just a bloodthirsty Jezebel. I'm sorry to say, but she is. Trying to have a human child within the context of the anime, fall in love with her, and turn him into a vampire and dehumanize him. And it's just sad too because, the detective Anko, she had the moral high ground, but now she's on the same playing field as Nazuna and all these other vampires. She doesn't see this relationship as immoral anymore. She's totally fine with it and is even playfully, joking around about joining his harem. Teasing him and getting intimate with Koi. These are very dark themes. If you were to think about it, you know what I'm saying? Like very dark themes that this anime has. Of course, you don't have to think about it that way, but that's exactly what's going on. But I think a lot of people are just here to enjoy an anime. I get it. You want to just enjoy the anime. All pretty colors. Koi and Nazuna saved the vampire dynasty. They had these adventures. They learned more about themselves. But if Koi truly learned and matured more, he'd know that everything that is going on is just not morally right. He would have the wherewithal to be like, you know what, Nazuna, I'm not old enough. I'm just a child. I can't make the right decision as a 14-year-old to become a vampire. That's not something you decide as a kid. You know, maybe if Koi was maybe closer to an adult age, 17, 18, 19, and he was like, I want to become a vampire. At least he's a little bit more developed. You know what I'm saying? The bro's barely gone through puberty. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he had a little bit more experience in life in general, he could make that decision for himself. That's just, my 2 cents. My 2 cents. If I were to look back at my past, when I was 14, I was not making critical decisions about my life, and I don't think I had the brains, the smart, the experience to make decisions that are life altering. These are life altering decisions, especially for Koi. He's gonna become an immortal. And when I think about it like that, when I put the human aspect into it, it's like, damn, Koi shouldn't even be a foot near vampires. Nazuna. And if Nazuna truly was a great person, she would have never allowed and dragged this kid around with her, and set him up to be a vampire. Nazuna was actually truly a good person. And if you want to humanize Nazuna, she would have done that. She would have been like, look, you're just a kid. You don't know what you're doing. Get out of here. Scram. And that should have been it. There shouldn't have been a season 2. It shouldn't have been nothing between her and Koi. She should have had the ability and the decision making as a mature adult to be like, you're just a kid. Go back to school. Don't know what you're doing here. You're hanging out in the middle of the night. What are you doing? Go concentrate on what you want to do in life. Just, find out who you really are. And maybe like in 3-4 years, she comes back and sees Koi as an adult. Maybe something could have happened there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure Koi would have already had a girlfriend, a human girlfriend, and experienced life, and probably make better decisions. Some of us need more than just being 18. Some of us mature at 25, 26 years old, let alone a 14-year-old. Hell no, man. But anyways, hey, it is what it is within the context of the anime. But in general, as an anime with the whole storyline, the whole lore, everything, fantastic anime from the start to finish. I love the opening. Really catchy, really fun. I never skipped it. It's a rare thing to do in these animes. I always skip the OP. I listened to it one time and I'm like, it's like chalk on a chalkboard. I'm saying overall, fantastic anime. I 100% enjoyed it. It was so much fun and great characters, great character development, and overall, other than the immoral stuff, it's a great fucking watch, honestly.